There is a town where nobody was killed, nobody escaped, and nobody tried to survive. People simply woke up one day and no longer needed the place they lived in. They did not run. They did not abandon it in panic. They closed doors, folded clothes, washed dishes, and left their lives behind as if tomorrow had been canceled. The beds are still made. The cups still sit beside sinks. In the theater, a piano waits in a room designed for applause that will never happen again. Outside, snow keeps falling on streets that were meant to outlast generations. This was not a failed settlement. It worked. It worked so well that the real world eventually moved on without it. And what remains is not a ruin. It is a human routine, paused and never unpaused.
The place is called Pyramiden. It stands on an Arctic island closer to the North Pole than to any normal city. For half the year, the sun never rises. For the other half, it refuses to set. No forests grow there. No roads connect it to anything. The ocean is not a route. It is a barrier of ice and distance. Nature made it clear humans were only meant to visit. The Soviet Union decided humans would live there instead. Not a camp, not a temporary base, a real town. Apartment blocks were built facing the mountains. A school opened for children. A library, a sports hall, a theater, even a greenhouse producing vegetables under artificial light. There was a dining hall serving hot meals every day, and a heated swimming pool inside a land where seawater could freeze solid. Workers were carefully selected before arrival. Healthy, disciplined families, not prisoners, not exiles. Living there was considered a reward. Wages were good. Food arrived regularly. Fresh fruit existed in a place where nothing should grow. In the evenings, people gathered after shifts, watched films, practiced music, celebrated birthdays. The town was small enough that everyone recognized everyone else. Safety was constant. Stability was constant. And that was the point. Pyramiden was never only about mining coal. It was proof that a society could be designed so completely that even geography would stop mattering. A human order placed into a landscape that never agreed to it.
Daily life quickly became simple. Wake up at the same hour, eat with the same people, walk the same corridors to the mine entrance. The outside air was so cold that most movement happened indoors, and that slowly pulled everyone closer together. Evenings mattered more than days. After work, lights turned on across the apartment blocks and people gathered. Volleyball games, rehearsals, films projected onto a wall, quiet conversations stretching longer than intended because there was nowhere else to go. Children played in hallways while adults talked in kitchens. During winter, darkness lasted for months, and time stopped feeling like calendar pages and started feeling like repetition. The mine underground felt warmer than the surface. Some workers joked that the tunnels felt more natural than the sky. The brain needs variation to measure life, but Pyramiden reduced variation. The same faces every morning, the same seats at dinner, the same announcements over the radio. Nobody complained because nothing was wrong. That was the strange part. The town removed many problems people had elsewhere: noise, crime, uncertainty, competition. But it also removed surprise. Weeks passed quickly and left little memory behind. When supply ships arrived, everyone went to the docks and lingered longer than necessary, asking visitors small questions about distant cities. Then the ship departed, and silence returned heavier than before. Without noticing, residents began living inside routine instead of inside time. The town depended on something the residents could not see. The mine provided work, but the real purpose of Pyramiden existed far away. It was a symbol, evidence that a planned society could function anywhere, even at the edge of the inhabitable world.
As long as that idea mattered, the town mattered. Then the outside world began changing first. Far from the Arctic, governments shifted priorities, budgets tightened, and distant administrators questioned why a settlement so expensive needed to continue. Inside Pyramiden, life still looked normal. Meals were served, classes continued, the piano still played in the cultural hall. Yet small details began to drift. Supply deliveries arrived late. Replacement parts took longer. Letters from the mainland used unfamiliar words: restructuring, reduction, review. Nobody announced an ending, but conversations grew quieter. People stood longer at windows facing the harbor. Some families started discussing where they might be sent next, not because they wanted to leave, but because they sensed the place no longer had a future assigned to it. A town survives hardship if its residents believe tomorrow belongs there. Pyramiden's problem was different. Nothing failed physically. Instead, the reason for the town weakened somewhere beyond the horizon. And when a community loses its future, daily routines start feeling temporary, even before anyone packs a suitcase.
The order did not arrive with urgency. It arrived with paperwork. The mine would close. Workers would be reassigned. Families would leave in stages. There was no emergency, and that made it harder to react. People began packing calmly, almost politely. Clothes went into suitcases. Photographs were wrapped in coats. Children were told they were moving somewhere warmer, somewhere with trees and real streets. Most objects stayed. Furniture was too heavy. Bookshelves remained full. Dishes stayed in cupboards. The theater piano was closed carefully, as if a performance might happen next week. In the final days, the town felt strangely social. Residents visited apartments they had never entered before, walked slowly through hallways, took pictures beside buildings they passed every day. The swimming pool still held warm water. The dining hall still served meals. Life looked identical to any other week, except everyone knew it was the last one. Each departing ship reduced the sound. Fewer footsteps, fewer voices, fewer lights at night. Silence became noticeable. On the final departure, nobody shut the town down. No one flipped a switch. People simply boarded and looked back at a fully functioning place that no longer needed them. The settlement did not collapse. It was dismissed. A working society was removed from its setting, and the Arctic finally became the only resident left. Today, Pyramiden still stands. Entering it feels less like visiting ruins and more like interrupting a moment that never finished. Beds remain made. Shoes wait beside doors. Calendars still hang on walls, showing the last year people lived there. The Lenin statue faces the mountains, as if addressing a crowd that stepped away briefly. Nothing is burned, nothing destroyed, nothing broken, only absent. Visitors often lower their voices without knowing why. The place is not frightening, it is incomplete. Every room suggests someone should return by evening. The unsettling part is simple. The town did not die from disaster or failure. It ended because the future moved somewhere else. Humans can survive cold, distance, even isolation. What they cannot stay inside is a life without direction. Pyramiden solved survival, but lost purpose. The buildings remain because walls only need maintenance. Communities need belief. Once people stopped imagining tomorrow there, the town was already over. Wind now moves through corridors that were built for conversation, and the settlement continues to exist in a strange state, not abandoned in panic, not destroyed in tragedy, but quietly paused, waiting for a story that will never resume.